Anytime you go overhead with a bar, there is a very real possibility that something could go wrong. And the thing is that anything that goes wrong from a bar being overhead can have dire consequences, right? And so we think that it's a good idea that if you're going to go overhead, you ought to have a contingency plan for surviving it. Your first contingency plan for going overhead is A, always go overhead in ways that you are completely stable. Anytime you add motion or movement to going overhead, you put yourself at a higher risk of injury. Now, it's not always reasonable to think that every time you go overhead, you're going to be 100% completely stable. You're going to leave some fitness on the table if you do that. So, the second contingency plan is the principle of the bail. Now, the principle of the bail goes like this. Anytime you are working with the bar and you are not in complete control of that bar, instead of trying to recover the lift, you should throw that weight. Throw it onto the ground and live to lift another day. Now, the principle of the bail understands that you will first clear your blood circle. Blood circle is when you take a measuring unit that's about as big as your bar and turn a full 360 degrees. If you can turn a full 360 degrees with something that's about the same diameter as your bar is long, you should be safe to drop your bar anywhere within that circle. So think of it as a big long samurai sword. You turn around in a great big circle. Anybody standing within that circle should bleed. That is your blood circle, and you'll need to clear your blood circle before you ever bail a bar. The third principle of the bail is do not mess up one part of your body trying to save another, because if you plan far enough ahead, you don't have to mess up any part of your body in order to bail on a bar. For instance, in the case of an overhead squat, sometimes when you go overhead with a squat, you'll go deep into the movement, and the thing is, if you have to bail the bar, you don't want to mess up your shoulders to throw it backwards to clear your body, right? So the way that we prevent that is by finding our narrowest pass-through grip. And the way that we do that is we take a PVC, never a weighted bar. You will screw your shoulder up so bad if you do it that way. But take a PVC bar or a broomstick, or even a piece of string will work, right? Take it up and over once, because you know you're going to bail backwards. You want to make sure that you throw it back and that your shoulders don't have to break and disobey rule number 3 of the principle of the bail. You want to be able to throw that backwards and clear your body while not breaking your shoulder. But you also want to be stable overhead, and the only way that you're stable overhead is with a narrowish grip, right? So you'll find your narrowest pass-through grip on an overhead squat. Start wide, pass it, a little narrower, pass it, got that one, a little narrower. Nope, can't do that one, right? So my narrowest pass-through grip is a little wider than that, and I'm set up and ready to go. The fourth rule of the principle of the bail is learning to bail. And the last place you want to try to learn to bail is down when you're in an emergency situation. So give yourself a little practice bailing. And what we do is we learn all the rules that we knew before. We get our narrowest pass-through grip. We set ourselves up for the squat just right. And then we go into the actual squat. We hold it in the most dangerous position and we clear the bar. Now, those principles don't just apply to an overhead squat. They apply to any movement where you may find yourself in trouble. It's always better to bail and live to lift another day than it is to, say, wrestle with a bar. That's where everybody gets hurt. Huck the bar, make sure that you've cleared your blood circle, huck the bar, and then hit the lift another time. I know it seems like bailing with a bar ought to be a lot easier than everything that we just talked about there, but you can never be too safe. So practice with the bar. Make sure that you don't screw up other body parts while you're bailing your bar, and then don't screw up other people, and make sure that your blood circle is clear. If you'll do those 3 things, you'll stay much safer.